Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Bonds, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching, Learning, and Equity. I hope everyone had a great summer and had a chance to rejuvenate. Last year was pretty challenging, and we'll probably be experiencing challenges again this year. But what I'm confident in is the fact that we have proven that we can overcome any challenges that we face. I'm so proud of you and the work you did last year. I'm humbled by everything you had to do. And making this video proves it. I'm probably on take number 15 for just this small section. So I can't imagine what you as teachers had to endure last year. So I'm just humbled by the fact that I know that it hasn't been easy. And I know that you rolled up your sleeves and did the very best you could to make the best opportunities for our students. So just thank you. And like many of you, I'm looking forward to the school year. I'm excited about the new year. One key initiative this summer or this year will be our implementation of our blended learning model. During this session, we will introduce the team who's leading charge, highlight why blended learning is important and the importance of doing it now, what blended learning will look like and how it will be implemented in Duluth, and the supports that we put in place to support you and students. I admit, I spent several days thinking about why blended learning and why now. I thought about you, I thought about our students, and I thought about our community. One day when inspiration hit, I sat down and listed all of the ways I interacted with and used technology on a daily basis. And here's what I came up with. As I continue to reflect and ponder about the blended learning model and the why blended learning and why now, one of the things I want to do was to ground myself and to ground us all back to our district's mission statement. And here's what it says. In summary, it talks about making sure that we provide each and every one of our students with classrooms that are safe, supportive, and inclusive. And that we as educators, that we're working hard to inspire each and every one of our students to achieve their highest potential, and that we are working to prepare students to lead productive, fulfilling lives in this ever-changing world. And at Duluth, we are all about educational equity. And trust me, the Blended Learning Initiative is about educational equity, and you'll hear a lot more about how it is later in this presentation. When you think about 21st century skills, here's what research says we need to be preparing our students to be able to do. We need to make sure our students have opportunities to collaborate, that they have opportunities to become and develop their critical thinking skills and problem solving skills, that we provide them with opportunities to be creative and innovative in the classroom, that they're working on their communication skills, that they are accessing information through technology and what's available online in meaningful and effective ways, that students have not only the resiliency, but ability to collaborate, but they also are thinking in more global ways. Think about our students having access to other students throughout the state, throughout other states, and throughout the country, and really problem solving things like climate change or even pandemic issues. Question. Are we preparing our students to successfully and effectively use technology around them now and in the future? Take a look at the classrooms. Are those classrooms representative of the kind of classrooms that we are providing our students now? Are we providing our young students, in this case, our young ladies, with opportunities to engage in STEM, whether it's through robotics, and or thinking about and just having access to drones and having opportunities to play with them and to understand how they actually work? Think about the amount of technology that's involved in just those two areas. One of the things I did was to just sit down at the end of the day to think about the impact of technology in my life. And I just chose one day. I want to think about how much technology impacted my day, how much interaction I had with technology throughout the day. And this was really important to me because it made me think about our students. And if we are really cognizant of how much technology they have around them or don't have around them. So now think about all of the things I interacted with But think about your kids. Some of them have access and they probably have interacted with way more technology than I did in one day. But far too many of our students, they don't have access to any of those things. But yet we all live in the same city and they all attend Duluth Public Schools. Hence why our blended learning initiative is so critical. It's so imperative. It's so essential that we make sure we provide our students with access, opportunities, and participation, and that they are included in these things. Here are the skills that we need to make sure that we show for our students. This is why blended learning is important. And I'm excited to see how we implement technology throughout the year. And I'll be excited to see the great things that you'll be doing in your classroom. And to be honest, you've already done a lot of this, and you're going to hear more about that. Now, again, think about how much technology impacted or influenced my day. It was a lot there. But this is not about me. This is about our students. There are students who have access to way more technology and advanced technology than even I have. And we have too many students who don't have access to any of those things. And that's the purpose and that's the reason behind the Blended Learning Initiative. This is our opportunity to make sure that we are preparing each and every one of our students to be successful in the 21st century. These students live in the same community, they attend the same schools. And again, it is up to us to make sure they have what they need to be successful in school and in life. I'm looking forward again to the school year. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the great things you're going to do with students. And I'm just excited to be in Duluth. Have a great year.
Hi, my name is Brenda Sparts. I am the new Director of Elementary Teaching, Learning, and Equity.
Hi, and you'll remember me. I'm Jen Larva. This year I have taken over the role of Director of Secondary Education in the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Equity. What is blended learning? As I have stated in previous videos, blended learning is a method of teaching that intentionally integrates technology and digital media with in-person classroom activities. What it is not is a distance learning where all kids are assessing lessons from home, or hybrid learning where you have some kids at home and some kids in your classroom. The main goal of blended learning is to empower students with greater flexibility to customize learning experiences, provide timely access to relevant instructional resources and content, and to create ongoing opportunities for students to develop their digital literacy skills so they can participate as global citizens who are part of a wider world.
So what does blended learning look like in the classroom? Blended learning does not mean that one simply swaps out an analog tool for a digital tool. It also does not mean that the teacher is being replaced by a computer or that students learn all content exclusively on their device. Good technology integration isn't about using all the fancy tools. It's simply about being aware of the range of options available and picking the right strategy for the lesson at hand. As we move throughout the year, you will hear more about the SAMR model, which lays out 4 tiers on technology integrated learning into 4 tiers of the progression of sophistication and transformative power: substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So basically, blended learning can look like a lot of things in different classrooms. We are going to focus on the 4 basic models of blended learning this year: station rotation, individual rotation, split classroom, and flipped classroom. Sally and Mike, our digital innovation coordinators, will be telling more about which grade levels will be utilizing which models and how the models will look in the classrooms later on in our presentation.
So what technology will be available to your students this year? The silver lining of the pandemic is that the district recognized we needed to give students more access and opportunity to connect with their teachers during distance learning. A portion of our ESSER funds has been invested in acquiring devices, upgrading our infrastructure, and investing in resources to allow the district to move forward with our one-to-one digital initiative. But this is not all about the devices. It is all about the learning. Students will have varying levels of access to devices based on their grade level. In the elementary buildings, we are supplying touchscreen devices to be used with students in kindergarten through second grade. Each classroom will be assigned 8 devices with a crate for charging them. In grades 3 through 5, students will be assigned their own Chromebook. These devices will stay in the building and classrooms will have a cart for charging. 5th grade students will begin bringing their Chromebooks home during the second semester to prepare them for the responsibilities of middle school. All of our secondary students will have student-issued devices that can be taken home daily. There will be additional means of charging devices available during the school day.
Who is available to help students, staff, and administrators? This summer, many hours was spent hiring staff to support this effort so that buildings in the district will have a successful first year. Today you will meet Sally White and Mike Bobie. Sally is our elementary digital innovations coordinator. She was a teacher at Laura MacArthur and had previously worked in districts with technology initiatives. Last year, she was actually one of our distance learning teachers. Mike is new to the district, but has been a secondary teacher for many years working in districts with one-to-one devices. He has experience teaching using devices in the classroom, as well as hybrid and distance learning. Our digital innovation coordinators will be working with a team of digital innovation specialists that will be assigned to different buildings. At the elementary level, the digital innovation specialists will be shared between buildings and will work with technology coordinators and media specialists to support the buildings. Each secondary building will have an assigned digital innovation specialist. You will hear more about the roles and responsibilities later in this video. Additionally, we have a staff development coordinator this year, Heather Harvick, who will be available to support our professional development needs. As we have learned over the last 19 months, flexibility is critical in how we provide learning opportunities for students. We may at any minute have to pivot to a new learning model. Planning for flexibility is important for that continuity of instruction as well, from the classroom to home and home to the classroom, especially for students that may have disruptions due to COVID protocols, such as quarantining, isolating, or even further restrictions as the pandemic continues to evolve.
Hi 709 staff, my name is Sally White and I am your Digital Innovations Coordinator for the elementary schools. I'm thrilled to be beginning this important work with all of you. Today I'm going to go over more of what blended learning is going to look like in our elementary classrooms. Our technology department and digital innovation specialists have been working hard this summer to have our devices ready to go this fall. In grades 3 through 5, students will have specific Chromebooks assigned to them. All the assigned devices will stay at school with the hopes of having our 5th graders begin to take them between home and school in the second semester, helping them understand the responsibilities of device independence as they prepare for middle school. Having our 3rd through 5th graders supplied with individual devices will open up the ability for split classroom teaching and individual rotations. The individual rotation model provides every student with a differentiated set of both digital and analog learning activities that they move through at their own pace. Some of those activities may call for peer-to-peer collaboration, and some will include independent learning tasks. This model provides greater flexibility for differentiation and autonomy on behalf of the student and creates an environment that supports small group instruction. Our kindergarten through second grade classrooms will have 8 Chromebook tablets available for use in each classroom, in addition to a cart in the media center for use when available. 8 devices per classroom is a great number for station rotation, which is one of the models we want our K through 2 classrooms to try out this year. A station rotation model enables teachers to deliver a targeted mini lesson with a small group of students while the rest of the class rotates through a menu of planned centers, which can include both digital and analog activities. Our K-2 classrooms will also be encouraged to try out a split classroom model by either pairing students on devices, utilizing the Media Center devices when available, or sharing with other classrooms. The split classroom model is great for grades K-12. This model can be used when a teacher needs to hone in on a concept using direct instruction with half the class. While the teacher conducts the lesson with half the class, the other half works independently from the teacher on an assigned task, either independently or in small collaborative groups. Additionally, this year, we will continue to utilize Seesaw as our learning management platform, in addition to Wonder's online resources. Think Central for math, Mystery Science, and in 4th and 5th grade, we have My World Online for social studies. Look for further training and information for these different resources.
Good morning, ISD 709 staff. My name is Mike Bobie, and I'm the Secondary Digital Innovation Coordinator, which is a new position out of Teaching, Learning, and Equity at the district office. And I just wanted to talk a little bit to you today on this Welcome Back to School Day about blended learning, the how, really, and what is going to go on for you, what that's going to look like, and what I may be able to help you with in my position and my role. So I'm the Digital Innovation Coordinator for secondary schools. My role is to assist secondary schools with the Blended Learning Initiative. I will be collaborating, and I see myself as a bridge between the curriculum specialists, content specialists, digital innovation specialists, staff development coordinator, and classroom teachers, as well as administration, to continue improving the blended learning model in ISD 709. Some of the other tasks that I have will be vetting teacher-requested apps, providing resources for best practice in blended learning, putting together with the digital innovation specialists, easy to access online tools, supporting teachers in the classroom, whether that be by observing, attending PLCs, or providing easy access to those resources, and supporting the building level digital innovation specialists. So getting to those amazing resources that you have, each building will have a digital innovation specialist who I will be coordinating and collaborating with, and they are building level support staff who will be able to help you daily with the integration of curriculum and technology in the blended learning format. I would highly encourage you to seek these people out. I know they will be trying to make themselves visible to assist you with that integration of curriculum and the technology via Canvas. So besides support staff, what do I get to help me with this blended learning initiative, which coming off of a pandemic can seem incredibly overwhelming? Well, first of all, you have amazing peers, and you've already seen how teachers band together in such a difficult time. Okay, and you have lots and lots of people who've survived a pandemic full of hybrid, distance, in-person, synchronous, and asynchronous learning models, and are your greatest resource. You have one-to-one Chromebooks at the secondary level for accessibility, and it's important that students check these out so that they can use ISD 709 tools that they cannot access on their personal devices. Okay, so really encourage that. You get support with technology from both a curriculum and a technical standpoint from myself, from Teaching, Learning, and Equity, all the way up to the highest levels of administration. Okay, Canvas, which is your learning management system, which we've already used throughout the last year of learning. It's a one-stop shop for blended learning and making your digital materials accessible for students. The SAMR model, okay, and a step-by-step blueprint for implementing the blended learning initiative with a month-by-month guide and goal setting. And then possibly most importantly, with my background as a teacher, realistic expectations, okay? This is not all going to happen overnight. It does not need to, nor will it be perfect right away. It's going to be a work in progress. And as long as we collaborate and work together moving forward, and we keep moving in the right direction, it's going to be a success, and it's going to be the best thing for our 21st century students. So Moving forward, this is not distance learning in the classroom, and I think that's the message that I need to bring to you today. One of the most important things that I think we all realize from the pandemic is that there's no substitute for teachers and the innovation that teachers have in the classroom, and the personal time, the personal relationships that are developed by teachers with students. Those are the things that are the most meaningful. Okay? However, this blended learning is going to give us an opportunity to reach even more kids, okay? Through self-direction, self-study, online assessments, self-paced and differentiated learning. We have a great opportunity to utilize everything that we've learned through our distance model and bring that back into the classroom and utilizing technology in a way that just enhances and makes us better. It may be a little more work up front, but I'm really, really excited to be on board. And I know that the district is committed to giving you the support that you need. Thank you and have a nice day.
Let's look at the expectations for teaching in a blended learning environment. As I stated last spring, teachers will be expected to implement grade-level endorsed learning models in their classrooms: station rotation, individual rotation, split classroom, and/or flipped classroom.
Elementary teachers will begin in September by connecting your digital resources such as Wonders, Think Central, Mystery Science with Seesaw. The other September teacher expectation is getting the devices in your students' hands, making sure they are competent in logging in, which will be quite a task for our littles, and then making sure that they can access their materials, their resources, and establishing expectations for how to manage those devices in your classroom.
Just as in a classroom of students, we know that teachers are at varying levels of comfort and understanding on using technology in a blended learning model. By tapping into our peers during designated PLCs, we can provide the needed support to have further discussion and learning about SAMR and our blended learning models.
Every day, teachers are designing activities to target higher order thinking skills in order to engage students in rich learning experiences. But integrating technology adds a whole new layer to teaching and learning. How can technology transform your learning design? Dr. Ruben Puentedura developed the SAMR model as a way for teachers to evaluate how they are incorporating technology into their instructional practice. You can use SAMR to reflect upon how you are integrating technology into your classroom. Is it an act of substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition? Dr. Puentedura likens his model to moving up a ladder. The model includes a dotted line that represents the threshold where you shift from using technology to enhance learning to using it to transform learning. Transforming learning promotes higher order thinking skills, such as analyzing, evaluating, and creating, which are essential to Common Core state standards and 21st century learning. So, how can you teach above the line? Let's take a look at an example of a classroom task and how it evolves through the lens of SAMR. In substitution, technology acts as a direct tool substitute with no real functional change to the task. For example, take creative writing. What if you had students write a story using a word processing program? In this case, students are substituting a handwritten story for a typed story. The task is the same with no real change in student engagement. In augmentation, technology still substitutes, but with some functional improvement. What if you took the same creative writing assignment and had students use a word processing program? They could use features such as spell check and tools for formatting. Again, the story writing task is the same, but the technology augments it with enhanced productivity. In modification, technology should allow for significant task redesign. Take the same creative writing assignment and have students use Google Docs to write their stories. Students can then share these stories with peers and provide real-time feedback. Here, technology has significantly modified the original task by introducing the benefits of student collaboration. At the top stage, redefinition, technology allows for the creation of entirely new tasks that were previously inconceivable. What if students transform their written stories into multimedia productions? After creating storyboards, students film scenes, edit clips, and add music. They can publish the videos and receive feedback from voices across the globe. In this case, technology redefines the story writing task to include media creation, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. So, how can you use SAMR to reflect upon transforming your learning design? Puentadora offers reflection questions to help you move up the SAMR ladder and shift how you are designing learning experiences. For instance, ask yourself, what will I gain by replacing the older technology with the new technology? Have I added an improvement to the task process that could not be accomplished with the older technology at a fundamental level? Does this modification fundamentally depend upon the new technology? How is the new task uniquely made possible by the new technology? These are just a few of the questions you can ask yourself as you evaluate the design of a classroom task, and consider that not all technology integration is created equal. Ultimately, SAMR can help you evaluate your use of technology and design tasks that target higher order thinking skills, engage students in rich learning experiences, and impact student achievement.
So here I am in Canvas, and I just sort of set up a mock week in a blended learning model, and so I'm going to call it week 3. And one of the big standards that we're going to tackle this week in my 9th grade English class is learning how to build an argument in writing. Ultimately, what that means is writing a 5-paragraph claim support essay. And so, as students come in, not all of this would be open, but it would open day to day. At the same time, the learning targets would be available to them. One day would be open to them, and this pre-assessment would be open to them on that first day. They would see this here as an end, but they wouldn't be able to submit just yet. And so, overall, I would welcome students to class. We would do a check-in, some community building, etc. And then we would be jumping into our days together. And not every day looks the same, but here would be an example perhaps of a Monday. So they would jump in, and if you click on the learning targets, ultimately as a design, I try to have the learning targets for the week. And if I were to click on one of these, it would take me right into Monday, take me to Tuesday, right? So these are linked. And I try to have a quote that kind of inspires them. All right. And so as I move to Monday, this is basically how I would do this. So I would have my learning targets for the day. So I want them to understand about claim and supporting arguments, and I want them to be able to write their own claim and understand how to write their own supporting arguments. Simple image, and then I use this term, the playlist, which I really like. It's kind of a term that students can understand and get around. When they think about the term playlist, it feels like they can create their own experience, and in some ways that is true. And so this would be today's playlist. So there are some must-dos, and there are 2 of them. So they have to complete both of these tasks today in class. And I invite them to choose from this list of 5 at least 2 things that they can do. All right. And so in this creation, they have options where they can join a mini lesson with me for 10 minutes. They can watch a tutorial on how to build a thesis statement. I neglected to put the link in, but that video would be there. They could study a pictograph on how a claim sets up a roadmap, and I would have that linked as well. Practice with a partner opportunity would be at 9:30. So you can see that there are a couple of live things happening in class, and they have a time so that students can kind of set a plan and a timeline for the day. That if they want to practice with a partner, that would happen at 9:30, and everybody who wants to do that would be ready to do so. And then they could also watch some commercials to see it in action. So they would build their playlist and then carry it out and make it happen on that day. As they complete their work, I, the teacher, am going around and coaching, conferencing with students who might need it. And the big thing is when I have it set up like this and students are kind of rolling, I can actually go around and nurture some SEL skills like responsible decision making and some goal setting and self-awareness and how they might be impacting others in their group or their partner, etc. Well, when I'm up front teaching, it's harder for me to help students with their SEL needs, and it's harder for me to connect with students based on what they actually need right at that moment. And so I'm getting out of the front of the room and connecting with students as needed in a slightly more passive role, and students are in charge. So as they complete this work, they can look ahead to what's coming up for the next day. So again, this is one. You'll see that I don't have any kind of whole class lesson happening. They kind of, on this day, would jump right in, take that assessment for the week, that pre-assessment, and then have that work that they would have to submit at the end of the hour. So the post your claim, this would be the thesis statement that they create. When they click here, it would take them to a discussion post. So again, this is something that I do. It's not really a discussion. It's a platform that allows students to share. So they're actually going to put it out there, their claim, they're going to put it out there. I'm not asking any students to comment on one another's work. For right now, they're just putting their claim out there. It's important to have an audience. There's a sense of accountability that comes with that. All right. And then later, they will be adding their supports statements, and they'll be putting those in there as well so students can kind of see how everyone else is doing. And part of that is how we build community, because later they will support one another and even offer up some suggestions, but not necessarily just reply to 3. It doesn't really work. So back to modules, that would be an example of a day, a lesson. Here would be another one. So Tuesday looks a little bit different. Once again, though, by design, you'll see that I have a pretty consistent way of doing things. It looks similar. So they're going to have their learning targets. And now Tuesday's playlist, the whole class is going to do a lesson with me at 9:05, and it's going to take 10 minutes. So they have to know that we're going to do that together. And I'll actually do that before we even get on a computer. We'll be together, and I'll say, close your Chromebooks, let's do this mini lesson. And then once that whole class experience and direct instruction is complete, then I'll have them open up their Chromebooks and they can get to putting their playlist together. So once that's finished, they have 2 things they have to do, and then they can choose 2. Again, you can fashion this however you like. Give them a handful of different ways to experience the learning targets, right? And then let them know what's coming up. And so They have some ways to work ahead. And this might interest you. I like the idea of having students help me find content for future learning. And I know that some teachers are like, that's our job, not theirs. But I feel like that absolutely contributes to their learning. And so if students are finished with the work that they have to do and they're looking for more, to say, hey, you know what? I've actually got a need for this kind of content. If you could go and find some examples of that for our learning, that increases ownership and builds community as well. So next, or I'm sorry, if you look into modules, you will see that Wednesday is Screen-Free Wednesday, and maybe that's a thing that I'll do for every Wednesday, where I will put together a lesson that is more conventional and off screens. And so students just know that on Wednesdays, we're not going on our Chromebooks at all. And so anyways, things to think about. The playlist is a favorite thing of mine. There are lots of different things that you can put in there. You can get your tools that you use embedded into some of those choices: Flipgrid, graphics, YouTube, etc. Using docs, going back into those discussions and editing their posts, etc. So that's an idea for how you can put a blended learning model into play on Canvas.
Hello, Sally White here, your Digital Innovation Coordinator for the elementary schools. Today, I'm going to talk you through 2 examples of how our blended learning models may look in a kindergarten through 2nd grade classroom or in a 3rd through 5th grade classroom. This first example is for kindergarten through 2nd grade math station rotations. So, you might begin your lesson with a math mini lesson. This is a whole group time, and it could take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. You're introducing your lesson for the day, your learning targets, giving kind of that general introductory piece to the concept. Then your students are going to move into 3 different centers. Your first center is kind of that teacher-led center. This is a small group, or it could be some teacher one-on-one time, and it gives the teacher a chance for differentiation and reteaching concepts. Your second center is more that analog center work time. This could be a hands-on activity, something like math manipulatives, a math game, flashcards. It is also a time where they could be doing partner work. They could be playing a math game with a partner, quizzing each other with the flashcards, or it could be small group practice as well. And your final center, center number 3, is more of your technology center. And this is where students can utilize some of those online resources that we have. So they can go to Seesaw and do an activity. And here you'll see an example of a review lesson that I created last year for my distance learners. Or they could be utilizing websites like Prodigy, which is a great online free game for reviewing math for grades 1st through 5th. Think Central, we have the online Think Central platform, which will be a great tool. And a lot of schools also have an IXL subscription. So that would be another resource for some classrooms to utilize. So each of those centers will be about 15 minutes, and the kids will go through each one during the lesson. So the entire lesson with your introduction, each center, and then your 5-minute closure where you all come back together and do a whole class wrap up is about an hour-long lesson. This is just an example of what station rotation could look like in a classroom. You have a lot of flexibility with station rotation because you can have multiple stations with, groups of 3 or 4. You could have bigger stations with up to 8 kids in a station because we have 8 tablets. And so this is one idea for a way to set up a math lesson utilizing the station rotation model. The next example is for 3rd through 5th grade classrooms utilizing the split classroom model, and this is for a literacy lesson. So again, you're going to start with that whole group mini lesson time. You're introducing your concept and your learning targets, and that's about a 10-minute introduction. Then you're going to split your class in half. You're going to have half of your class with you doing teacher-led small groups, and this could be differentiated groupings. You could be reteaching concepts. You could be assessing and reading with students. And then the other half of your class at the same time is going to be doing independent work. Again, they could be doing a seesaw activity. They could be using Wonders Online. They could be doing Epic, which is a great free resource for classroom teachers, where it's a huge library of free books and you can assign them to your students. And so they can be assigned to a book at their reading level. And so this is a great resource. Or they could be doing a recording of themselves reading and sharing their thinking. And this is a really fun through Seesaw activity. Kids love. They grab a book from their book box, they turn on the video feature on Seesaw, and then they read their book aloud for you in a recording. And the beauty of that is you have the ability on your time to go back and listen to that recording and assess their reading fluency and their thinking around whatever concept you're working on in literacy. So this is, again, another example of what it might look like. And again, at the end, you'll have that lesson closure, that whole group, everybody gets back together and kind of reviews how things went and your learning targets and so forth. So again, like I said, these are 2 examples on what the blended learning models may look like in your classroom this year.
The technology team, and I want to thank all staff and volunteers for all the hard work you have done, as well as welcome you back for the 21-22 school year. My name is Bart Smith, and I am the District Technology Manager. The Technology Department and the new Digital Innovation Specialist have been working hard to help support our Blended Learning one-to-one initiative. In the past 8 months, we have collected, cleaned, disinfected, inventoried, asset tagged, and redistributed thousands of Chromebooks. We have contracted with IT professionals to review our network infrastructure and our security. We have and will continue to implement their recommendations. We have purchased and installed additional wireless access points to help provide better wireless coverage for our Chromebooks. We have implemented additional security measures to help protect our students, our staff, and district data from cyber criminals. We have purchased, configured, and distributed roughly 5,500 new Chromebooks. For the 21-22 school year, we will continue to invest and improve our network infrastructure as well as our network security to support our blended learning one-to-one initiative. Once again, welcome back, and I hope you have a great year.